What's up, everybody? Here we go with game number 3 of this Prime Format Team Experimental Best of 3. We are resetting up after that last game. If you did not catch that last game, we are currently now 1-1. I dropped the first game in this Best of 3, but managed to pull off a win in the second game. I do not get to choose to go first or second. My opponent wants to go second, so I am going first. I roll 3 energy here. I'm going to pay a shield in order to prep over the next die that I purchase, and then I purchase a Felicity Smoke. My opponent is drawing and rolling 4. Lands 2 sidekicks, a shield, and a question mark. Probably going to want to reroll those sidekicks so that he can start his attack. The other option here is to just buy a Justice, put those 2 sidekicks out, save them for later, and you get that buff automatically the moment that Justice enters the field. This is sort of a middle ground approach, landing that sidekick there. He has 1 sidekick on the board, 3 energy. He could prep over a Justice. This is actually a great turn, because then all you have to do is prioritize 1 sidekick next turn. He's going to prep over a multiple man instead. Looks like he's going to pick that instead of Justice. So in this instance, it looks like he's looking for the Swarm ability to trigger more consistently and get him some ramp. So I've got 6 energy here. That's the dream with this team, is to roll that Felicity Smoke on turn 2, have 6 energy. Got everything I need in order to purchase a, well, really anything on my team, minus that Gorilla Grodd. But I've got everything I need to purchase a Two-Face. Actually, that's a great purchase. I probably should do that one. If I pick up a Two-Face, then I will be floating 1 energy. I won't have a use for the 1 energy that remains in my reserve pool. No globals here that can do a ton of things. I don't think I don't have a bolt, and I think it's a bolt that you have to use to activate the global on Dark Avenger. I technically could do that if I had a bolt, but I don't. Oh, this is really interesting. I'm going to prep over an SRA. Very, very curious. So the ramp is obviously going to help, and I don't necessarily guarantee that it's going to land on a burst faced, but I at least guarantee that 1, I'm going to roll a ton of dice, or 2, I'm going to have a fairly large amount of energy with that 2 generic. So I could see delaying the purchase of a Two-Face. That's certainly possible. So this is where a Justice purchase on turn 1, or yeah, turn 1, yeah. Justice purchase on turn 1 would have been really good for him. He has the 2 sidekicks. He has a multiple man instead, so he can set up for Swarm. That would, that would involve purchasing another multiple man here. It just seems really slow in comparison, so he's going to pick up a Justice now. And see, at this point, if he would have had a Justice, he could have, at that moment, hit me for 5 or 6, some crazy, well, 4, 5, or 6, some crazy amount of damage, really early. I didn't prioritize any blockers whatsoever by trying to roll sidekicks. So that would have been a really, really good play. So I have 2 generic. Let's see if I choose to re-roll that. Definitely going to want to do that. Keeping a sidekick is not necessarily a bad idea. Going to re-roll the SRA along with 2 sidekicks. Get a mask, a question mark, and the 2 generic. So I've got 5 here. So straight up purchase for Two-Face works. I could also prep over a Hit Monkey. Looks like that's what I'm going to do. Pay the 1 shield. No, I'm going to prep over another SRA. So I'm really going heavy into the ramp. I guess I don't respect my opponent's ability to hit me in the face. Probably something I should respect, seeing as it worked out so well for him in game number 1. But buying 2 SRAs means I'm going to churn through my bag just about every turn. Well, every other turn, something like that. Justice lands, and I am in some trouble. Got a sidekick there. He's got the stuff to field it as well. I think that's on its one of its higher sides, at 2/4/4, I think. Gonna pay both to field that on a 2/4/4. So really, it's a 2/6/4 if he chooses to attack. And why do you not, right? Really interesting here. Looks like he's gonna push with all of his sidekicks. I'm gonna block the Justice. I'll take 3 from the sidekicks, KO my sidekick. Avoid the Justice damage, which is good, and now that Justice will not buff, so that's a seriously bad choice, I think. Not a strong play to let those 3 sidekicks go through, because now that buff is dropped. But at the same time, it's not necessarily the worst thing in the world, seeing as he still has a 4/4 on the board. I wasn't comfortable enough letting the 9 damage through versus letting the 3 damage through. So don't land an SRA again. And looking at my purchasing, SRA, really Felicity SRA is not necessarily looking very good. 1 blocker, and finally I just decide to probably do what I should have done 2 turns ago and pick up a 2-face. So I don't think this buying on my end of things is capitalizing on that last play, or even sort of the last couple of plays. I think both of us have made some missteps in this game so far. Certainly picking up 2 SRAs could pay off, but they certainly have not paid off up to this point. My opponent straight up picks up a Nightwing. No preps, doesn't have the energy for it anyway, so it just pays 4 for a Nightwing, no attacks. Moves over to my turn. The great thing, I was talking to Tyler, the guy I'm playing right here. Great thing about this game is that even if you only roll 4 dice and it comes up something poor, you can always buy. There's not a lot of, in a game with card draw, you can sometimes run into that fated turn where you draw something off the top, top deck, and it just doesn't work out for you, so you have to say pass. You don't get that very often in this game, which is something that I like. Put a sidekick out there, ask him 3 or 2 for that SRA. He's going to say 3. I draw what looks like 3 sidekicks. No, 2 sidekicks and an SRA, so 2 energy comes up. Another SRA to activate, and this is where the bag cycle and the purchase order that I had gone for actually starts to pay off. I did not die in the early game, and so now I'm going to have a really, really big advantage. Didn't pull the I only have 2 SRAs, so cycled through just about everything that I had in my bag. Field up the 6/6 2-face there. Got 5 energy, so it looks like I have a 4 plus a prep if I want it. That would be a hit monkey. The other option is to just straight up pay 5 for another 2-face, but I think the prepping just about every turn is really, really strong. Gets you rolling multiple energy outside of that 4 range, and especially on this team that I've put together, that's more important almost than just rolling 4 and moving things around. All my purchase costs are sort of an awkward 4 or 5 range. My opponent has 4 energy, 3 energy, 1 sidekick. He's going to pay 1 and pick up a... Oh, he's paid 2, excuse me. He's going to pay 2 and pick up a Hal Jordan. He paid 1 to prep it and paid 2 for the Hal Jordan itself. So I'll reload, fill up my bag, draw 4, add that 1, rolling 5 dice, and one of those is an SRA. This is looking promising. SRA lands. Both characters missed though, so going to want to reroll the characters. I also could think about rerolling that sidekick, but honestly, taking that sidekick out of my bag in a more permanent basis is really good. Probably want to keep the sidekick as it is. Hit monkey comes up. Going to pay that to get him. Well, actually not going to pay yet. I'm going to activate SRA. My opponent is going to KO his sidekick, forcing me to only draw and roll 2. And they both come up as energy, which is actually what I needed. Well, not necessarily, because Felicity did not come up as a character, so she could have paid for anything that I wanted to field. Left with 5 energy. It doesn't look like I'm saving anything over off to the side to pay for Hit Monkey, so he must be a field for free. It's hard to see on my screen in this current state at this moment. Nope, just kidding. Had to pay 2. Left with 3 energy, paying in a different format, paying with 2 different energy. Then I'm going to pay a shield and 2 for another Felicity Smoke moved off to the prep area. Then the question is, do I attack here? I've got a lot of blockers. I do attack. Now then the hope would be for him not to pull and roll his Nightwing to punish me basically for that play. But I do hit him for 6, and he chooses not to block, which is the right play because it's unblockable damage anyway. Well, not really unblockable. I guess it is unblockable. You could block it, but damage goes to your face no matter what. So he draws up his dice, rolls a Hal Jordan. Hal Jordan does indeed pop up, and he also has a sidekick there. So that's a pretty decent roll. He's going to have to pay for that Hal Jordan. The unfortunate side of Hal Jordan is that all of his character sides do cost to pay. So 1, 1, 2 are his fielding costs. He decides to keep one of the bolts rather than rolling it. Ends up with that 4 energy. He was just a little bit scared off of the possibility of rolling 4 sidekicks, but as I tell him, that is extremely unlikely that he does not roll energy. But to each their own. He ended up using it just fine. Ends up with 3 energy, a fist, a mask, and another bolt. So can't purchase and then prep, but he certainly can purchase. He's going to pay 2, the bolt and the mask for Hal Jordan. Other option was to pay 2 for a multiple man there. That would play into his swarm situation, which is what he has on the board right now. He has the possibility of attacking as well. He's got 4/3, and he's got a, well, it's not buffed with that attack, that justice. So he's got some damage on board, but I have enough blockers, and he's certainly doesn't have Nightwing out to clear them yet. So draw 4, roll them up. 2 generics and 2 double shield sides on Felicity Smoke. Not much to spin up in the field anyway, so that might actually be just good to keep. Gonna reroll one of them and the SRA, and the SRA comes up, and so does Felicity Smoke. That's a good roll. Gonna use that SRA, say 3 or 2. My opponent KOs his only sidekick and forces me to only draw and roll 2. This is a good draw, but could possibly be really bad, and oh, it was really bad. So the danger of running SRA is, you draw the 2 things that you really care about, or the 3 things that you really care about, and they land on the opposite sides you need, so they end up having to cycle again. That's exactly what happened. SRA there lands on the 2 generic. I land the 1 mask side on Two-Face, and that's really poor and really slow. So ways to accelerate back into those dice, landing another SRA, purchasing another SRA, increasing my odds of it being in my bag and pulling it. That's really about it. Other options, since I have a ton of energy here. I've got 7 energy. I could just straight up pick up a Gorilla Grodd. I could pick up one, the single, or maybe I'm running 2 of those dice for Captain Cold's Cold Gun. I could also buy another Two-Face. In fact, that might be a really, really strong play. Prep over another Two-Face. Looks like that's what I'm going to do. Field there on Felicity. Looks like the Hit Monkey was on its top side no matter what, as I had to pay 2 for it a couple of turns ago. So her ability goes off with no effect, nothing to trigger on. And then I choose not to attack here. I think that's an important point to make, because if I attack and it goes back into my bag, that's going to cycle, or it's going to take a lot longer. Well, not a lot longer, but it's going to take longer to cycle through my bag. I can wait until my bag fills up again, and then I can attack with it. Then it'll just sit in the use pile, because I don't necessarily need Felicity Smoke. I need those ramp dice. My opponent, draws and rolls his Nightwing here, but does not land Nightwing on the roll or the reroll. That is really, really poor. That's unlucky. Definitely wanted that. So he's got 6 energy instead, though. See how he chooses to spend it. He's setting aside 2, so he could pick up a bunch more little guys. That looks like he's going to pay 4. Nope, there's the 2 for a Hal Jordan and the 4 for another Nightwing. I would like to see more prep purchasing on his side, because look at his bag, at least, or what his bag is going to fill up to. What is that? 3, 6, 9, 12 dice in bag. So that's 3 turns of pulling dice out with no ramp to speak of. I guess -1 multiple man. I think he has a second multiple man. Ah, and I cannot make it pay no matter what. I can't punish him for his slow ramp there because I can't land either of those SRAs or the Two-Face. So I pick up another Two-Face. Third time's the charm, I think is what they say. Tyler fills up his bag, shakes it all up, draws 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Nightwing. Nah, he might make me eat some of those words that I mentioned earlier. No, it doesn't land on Nightwing. Let's see if he rolls it again. And he picks up, scoops everything, and rolls. Ah, wow. That is so unlucky. That's 4 rolls in a row, and then Nightwing has not come up. So I'm really dodging bullets when it comes to keeping my blockers intact. And plus, having those sidekicks out of my bag on the field means those SRAs are even more potent. I land one of those, and I can cycle just about all my bag constantly. One leads to another, leads to another. And it's a 50% chance that I roll an SRA off an SRA. So SRA pulls that second SRA, rolls it. 50% chance it lands, and pulls some more stuff. So he's thinking here, does he want to attack? He's got his 2 sidekicks, which gives him a buff. This might be an option. This might be an opportunity to attack. Let's see what he chooses to do. So he's pushing with his 3 characters here. 3 out of the 5 characters, I guess. Pushing with the big damage dealers.
Sorry, dude. Too late. All right, so the reason you don't attack.
He's got a 4/4. So he's choosing to attack with that. Nope, he changes his mind after I talk with him. And I choose to just chump block with 2 sidekicks. Part of the thing about this game, too, is we are both sort of experimenting, so I understand that some people might not like the idea of him declaring and then undeclaring, but we were talking through. He is newer at this game than I am, not too terribly much, I don't think, but we talk about strategy and hack our way through. At the same time, I think it's fairly competitive right now. If I can land, and it didn't happen, but if I could have landed that second Two-Face, I might have had lethal there. I mean, I might still have lethal. Let's see. I have 1 unblockable character. It's a 2/6/6. He's going to KO his sidekick to keep me from rolling 3 dice. That drops his blocker count to 4. I just get 2 more energy. Going to pay 2 to field that 2/6/6. So that's guaranteed 6, dropping him 6 damage down. He's going to go to 8 here. Going to spin up my... now it's a 2/6/6, excuse me. But again, that's guaranteed, dropping him to 8. Then if I push with the hit monkey and that gets blocked, that's another 4 if that's on its top face. Dropping him to 4. And that would be assuming that he would be blocking the hit monkey, meaning that he's not going to block... Well, he'd basically block everything but the last sidekick. I do have 1 fist to buff. No, I'd have to pay that fist to get the hit monkey damage through. So no lethal here. The other option there is to pay the 2 fists that I have, fist and a question mark. Throw those on Two-Face, then attack with Two-Face, push for 8 damage there. That keeps everything else on the on my side of the board from, avoiding the KO. It keeps them avoiding KOing. Sort of a safer route. Otherwise, if I don't do either of those things and just straight up attack with 6/6, I'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 energy to spend. Don't have any more Two-Faces to purchase, so instead I'm just going to purchase through that hit monkey, prep it over, and end the turn. Probably wanted to attack with that. Well, actually, no. I could argue that you wouldn't want to attack here with that Two-Face, you need, I need in this case, some heavy damage defensive blockers, just so that I can soak up some damage from the Nightwing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's got 6 sidekicks that are accounted for, which means 2 are in the bag, and there's a Nightwing in the bag as well. So he had a decent shot of pulling the Nightwing. He fields up yet another Hal Jordan. I've got a decent wall of blockers as long as Nightwing doesn't land and wipe the 1/1s, which include one of those Felicity smokes. He has built up quite a board, though, so I'm definitely going to have to rely on direct damage to finish him, because there's no way I have any way, well, there's no way I can board clear. Just going to have to ping away his life with direct damage. So 2 energy remaining, a fist and a bolt. Nothing much to do with the bolt, nothing much to do with the fist. He can use the fist. Bolt, however, I don't think has any utility. Just pairing it for a 2-cost purchase, but he doesn't have anything he can purchase with those 2 energy types. So unless he wants to attack, he's just going to probably have to say go. Pass over to me. Looks like he's going to choose not to attack. Attacking here wouldn't be the worst idea in the world. I would chump block, but what it's doing is removing, small blockers. And more likely than not, well, I could actually block with a 6/6, so I could KO whatever he chooses to attack with. One of the things. This is a game-winning roll right here. If I can roll any of these characters, and all 3 characters miss. Oh man, that is rough. And the worst part, I don't have much to pull from the bag if they don't come up. Okay, now all 3 characters land. Now the question is, can I pay to field them? Gonna SRA. He's gonna KO a sidekick, which is smart because at this point he's looking to avoid me landing energy. SRA again. And that should be game. I can field one of those. Yeah, definitely. Definitely land enough energy to field everything. Or field most things. Field what I need. Field up those characters, and I should just be able to push with all the unblockable damage. Just the 2 faces alone should be enough to kill him, unless one of those is on a 1/1 side. But let's just assume that's like a 6 and a bunch more. 6. The 2 faces, a 2/2, a 4/4, and a 6/6. So, I mean, even if it's just 2, 4, 6, and those hit monkeys, it was over right there. So game number 3 goes down in the books towards me. I think this team has potential. I think Two-Face and Hit Monkey are both great cards, and I think that people are going to really tinker around and find the perfect order for those cards to be purchased in and used. I really enjoyed playing with him, and I plan on messing around with this team trying to make it better. Hope you guys enjoyed this little experimentation with this Prime format. Let me know what you guys come up with regards to the Prime format. If you have some ideas for teams that you really like, shoot them my way. I'll see if I can mess with them as well. Thanks for watching.